أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد. وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وقائدنا وقدوتنا محمد بن عبد الله أنه رسول الله قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله حتى أتاه اليقين، فصلوات ربي وسلامه عليه. اللهم صل وسلم على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يقول الله في محكم التنزيل بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu, the merciful, the compassionate. Wallahi, we bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Him subhanahu. And that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam indeed was His seal of prophets. We bear witness that He has delivered His message and bestowed upon us the merciful guidance. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to reward Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the utmost reward and to put us amongst His followers. Allahumma ameen. First of all, my apologies for slightly being late with the parking. I had to park a little bit at a distance and had to rush a little bit. I do value your time, for my apologies, inshallah. The topic, inshallah, for today's khutbah is actually among the topics that at the Mass Youth Center we've been discussing parables of the Quran. And one of the surahs that we discussed was Surah Al-Isra a few weeks ago. One of the brothers recently just came and said, there is just so much strong message in this surah. If you can just put this in a khutbah so that a bigger crowd can, inshallah, benefit from this. So, inshallah, we try to get the lessons from this surah. This is such a strong message comes out of this surah. And subhanallah, how many years have we recited this surah? How many years personally? But subhanallah, I somehow missed the message so many years. And inshallah, I want to share with you kind of the real message behind this surah. Allah Azza wa Jal in Surah Al-Isra says, سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا. First of all, we're talking about Surah Al-Isra here, and of course, Isra and Mi'raj happens in Rajab, which is a few months down the line, and yet I wanted to talk about it now. And the real reason here is, many times when we talk about Isra and Mi'raj, we really associate this with the cultural kind of celebration of that specific event. And so we think of the miraculous nature of the event. So that is why we wanted kind of to present this now at a different time, when we're not really associating it with any kind of cultural celebration, but rather to really get the essence of the message. So we wanted to present this at a different time. And so the interesting part of this surah is Allah Azza wa Jal talks about this Isra and Mi'raj. And Isra is from Mecca to all the way to the furthest mosque, which is Al-Aqsa in Palestine. And as important as this event was, within a night, alayhi salatu wassalam, goes from Mecca all the way to Palestine. And that is so miraculous in itself. But subhanallah, the interesting part, and the natural question is, as important as this is, why didn't Allah Azza wa Jal call this surah, Surah Al-Mi'raj? Because Al-Mi'raj is the portion from Al-Quds all the way to the heavens. That certainly is much more miraculous in nature. That is certainly much more, there's more significance, more difficulty in going through that. That is more miraculous, and yet, subhanallah, for whatever reason that we'll discuss in a little bit, Allah Azza wa Jal has chosen that this surah is called Surah Al-Isra, from Mecca to Al-Quds, and not from Al-Quds to the heavens. It's not Surah Al-Mi'raj, but rather Surah Al-Isra. It's a natural question. What is it in Al-Isra portion? What is it in this traveling from Mecca to Al-Quds that has happened, that Allah Azza wa Jal has valued it so much, that has given it more weight than the Mi'raj portion? What is it in it? That's a natural question that you and I would ask. And you would want probably to look into the surah to find this. And interestingly, Allah Azza wa Jal, immediately after just talking about this first ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal in the next ayah says, وَآتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابِ, that Allah Azza wa Jal has given Musa alayhi salam the book, which is the Torah. وَجَعَلْنَاهُ هُدًى لِبَنِي إِسْرَائِيلِ, and Allah Azza wa Jal has made it a guidance. The Torah was a guidance for Bani Israel. أَلَّا تَتَّخِذُوا مِن دُونِ وَكِيلًا, that you do not take any disposer of affairs other than Allah Azza wa Jal. So why would the ayat, after talking about Al-Isra, talk about that Allah Azza wa Jal has given the book to Musa alayhi salam? Not only that, in the following ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَقَضَيْنَا إِلَى بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل, that Allah Azza wa Jal has decreed to a warning to the children of Israel in the book, that twice they would do a mischief on earth, and that Allah Azza wa Jal, due to their arrogance, will take away this from them. This guidance that Allah Azza wa Jal has given them, Allah Azza wa Jal would be taking it away from them. And that's really what the essence of the surah is, and we want to kind of elaborate into this. Very interesting. After this presentation that Allah Azza wa Jal gives in the surah, the interesting part is it starts to talk about the Quran. The surah that has talked about the Quran the most. If you want to know the message of the Quran, what is the message of the Quran? What is unique of the Quran? If you want to know about the Quran, read Surah Al-Isra. 11 times by name the word Quran was mentioned. Other than that, so many numerous times where Allah Azza wa Jal referred to it as the wisdom, as the absolute truth, which is haqq, and so on. And so tremendous level of discussing the Quran was mentioned in the surah. Just to give you a glimpse into this, Allah Azza wa Jal starts narrating or indicating about the Quran by an ayah where Allah Azza wa Jal says, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ. This Quran will give guidance to the most perfect path, to the most perfect guidance. It is in this Quran that you will find the guidance, Allah Azza wa Jal says. But in so many other ayat, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِيَذَّكَّرُوا وَمَا يَزِيدُهُمْ إِلَّا نُفُورًا. In that in this Quran was sent a message so that it becomes a reminder to them. Yet people choose not to take it. وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. And if you read the Quran unto them, we will make this Quran a barrier between you and those that might want to cause you harmfulness. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the surah, in the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jal even says, أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ لِدُلُوكِ الشَّمْسِ إِلَى غَسَقِ اللَّيْلِ وَقُرْآنَ الْفَجْرِ. And Allah Azza wa Jal is recommending to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that he strengthens himself with salah and Qur'an al-Fajr. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. And in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal has given a lot of healing and mercy to the believers. قُلْ لَئِنِ اجْتَمَعَتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجِنُّ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَأْتُوا بِمِثْلِ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لَا يَأْتُونَ بِمِثْلِهِ. If the jinn and ins have put their efforts together to come up with the Quran like this, they won't. Allah Azza wa Jal says. وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. And in this Quran there are numerous examples. And the ayat continue. Just to give you just an idea of the nature of the ayat that have been revealed in this surah. Very interesting. After this presentation of the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal goes into something that it seems to be not the nature of the surah, where Allah Azza wa Jal actually talks about the role of Muslims that they should be playing. And so Allah Azza wa Jal gives numerous roles. And these roles, once they truly establish the social justice in the society. Where Allah Azza wa Jal says that in this book, there will be a guidance for those to follow the true Lord that Allah Azza wa Jal has. You shall not set up any other gods beside God, Allah Azza wa Jal says. starting from ayah number 22 all the way to ayah number 37, Allah Azza wa Jal talks about properties, orphans, slavery, worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, all of these things that have to be straightened in a society. And so with all of this, then the message becomes, or you and I, the natural question here is, why would then this surah be called Surah Al-Isra? Why not Surah Al-Mi'raj? And it's really, the essence is this, that Allah Azza wa Jal has valued that when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sent, that in this trip, there's a hadith that's Sahih al-Bukhari, my dear brothers and sisters, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam goes into all the way Al-Aqsa. And before reaching Al-Aqsa, he passes by some area that has date palms. And Jibreel alayhi salam stops Al-Buraq, the vehicle by which they were riding at the time to go to Al-Aqsa. Jibreel stops it and says, we'll make 2 rak'ah here. And after they made the 2 rak'ah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asks Jibreel, and he tells him, where did we make these 2 rak'ah? So Jibreel alayhi salam tells him, this is Yathrib, which is Al-Madinah. And then they continue, and then in Al-Aqsa, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah Azza wa Jal gathered to him all the Anbiya throughout the history of humanity. We're talking about from Adam alayhi salam until the time of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. All prophets, with no exceptions, stood behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam assumed that Jibreel alayhi salam would be leading all the Anbiya in prayer. And yet Jibreel alayhi salam said, no, it's not for me, but it's for you to lead them, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And alayhi salatu wassalam led all the Anbiya in that prayer. And this is where the ulama actually gathered the whole essence of the surah. Alayhi salatu wassalam, the last book in bulk that was sent was to Musa alayhi salam. And after that to Isa alayhi salam. And yet Allah Azza wa Jal did not mention Isa in the surah, mentioned Musa alayhi salam. Because Bani Israel were selected to lead humanity. يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأوفوا بعهدي أوفي بعهدكم وإياي فارهبون. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Azza wa Jal said that, O people of children of Israel, you have been selected, that Allah Azza wa Jal has selected you to take the responsibility, وأوفوا بعهدي أوفي بعهدي, so that Allah Azza wa Jal will fulfill His promise unto you. But subhanallah, they did not. In the same surah, few ayat later, Allah Azza wa Jal, Surah Al-Baqarah said, يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين. That Allah Azza wa Jal has selected them to take the responsibility. But subhanallah, they failed. And when they failed, although Musa alayhi salam gave them the book, which Allah Azza wa Jal called it Al-Furqan in the surah, although they were given the book, but they failed, Allah Azza wa Jal took this away from them. And then the message of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came. And so when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went from Mecca all the way to Al-Quds and led the Anbiya, in essence, it's a representation that here is the burden of being selected. Your ummah now has been selected, and you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, should take the responsibility in leading the ummah. And that represents entire the history of humanity, all standing before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And when Bani Israel did not fulfill their promise, what Allah Azza wa Jal has given them, Allah took it away from them. And so that is why this surah became very, very important. In the eyesight of Allah, this responsibility that's given to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and then later on us, today, later on us, in the eyesight of Allah, has much more weight and value than Al-Mi'raj. And that is why Allah Azza wa Jal called this surah Surah Al-Isra and did not call it Surah Al-Mi'raj, my dear brothers and sisters. Inshallah, we elaborate a little bit around this after the second khutbah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah Azza wa Jal actually has given surahs different names. Another name that was given to this surah was actually Surah Bani Israel. Surah Al-Isra was also called Surah Bani Israel. Interestingly, when you go into a little bit deep into this, you find out that actually the name of the surah is Surah Bani Israel al-Kubra. The name of the surah is the Greater Bani Israel Surah. So we really wanted to find out and dig deep a little bit. So there must be a lesser Bani Israel surah. And interestingly, there is. Surah Bani Israel al-Sughra, which is the lesser Bani Israel, actually happens to be Surah al-Saf. And Surah al-Saf is only 14 ayat. But one of the strongest surahs that start with a very, very strong message is Surah al-Saf. Allah Azza wa Jal says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. O you who believe, why do you proclaim and say things that you do not do? Subhanallah. And the ulama, when connecting Surah Bani Israel al-Kubra, Surah al-Isra to Surah al-Saf, what they actually said is, the interesting message here is, Bani Israel, they claimed that they were going to follow Musa alayhi salam, but they did not. Practically, they did not. And Allah Azza wa Jal took the responsibility away from them. So Allah Azza wa Jal in Surah al-Saf is telling us, O Muslims, why do you say things that you do not act upon? لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. A very similar message to the summary of Surah Al-Isra. So this is really the essence of the surah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to really grant us an understanding and make us implement the burden that Allah Azza wa Jal has shouldered upon us. This surah, my dear brothers and sisters, represented a whole responsibility that was taken away from Bani Israel. As much as they were selected to take the responsibility, Allah took it away from them when they did not fulfill. Certainly, it is not something that could happen to us because there is no more prophet to come. So the responsibility, or this will not be taken from the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but rather, as the scholar said, it'll be taken. If Khalid does not fulfill it, then it'll be given to Muhammad. If Muhammad does not do it, then Samira, it will be given to Samira. Each one of us will be standing before Allah Azza wa Jal on the day of judgment, representing, if we understood this message, if we really fulfilled this message. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Maryam, وَكُلٌّ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. Each one of us, as much as sometimes we work in groups, and sometimes when we work in groups, we depend on others to fulfill the duties for us. But on the day of judgment, each one of us, including myself, each one of us will be standing before Allah Azza wa Jal and will ask us, you have been given this responsibility. What have you done for the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal when you were given this responsibility and you understood this responsibility? That is why understanding, wallahi, the Quran is the best source of understanding. But subhanAllah, because we have sometimes distanced ourselves a little bit from the Quran, the messages of the Quran do not automatically come to us. It's not as clear, and we have to go back to the sources. But alhamdulillah, the sources are there. And we refer to the Quran for proper understanding and proper implementation of this deen. Wallahi, I will share this with you. Wallahi. When, after understanding the surah, even when moments of tiresome and sometimes just laying back and looking at the situation, and sometimes we feel, I can't do it. I'll just lay back and maybe others will do. Wallahi, I remember this surah. That Allah Azza wa Jal can take this. Allah has blessed us. That we listen to this message and inshallah we deliver to others. But if everybody leaves it for others so that others will deliver, wallahi, it will not be delivered. And Allah Azza wa Jal will select others to fulfill. Because this promise will be fulfilled according to the promise that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given us. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give us proper understanding and proper implementation of this deen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا رب اجعل القرآن الكريم ربيع قلوبنا ونور أبصارنا وجلاء أحزاننا وذهاب همومنا وغمومنا. اللهم علمنا منه ما جهلنا وذكرنا منه ما نسينا وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار على الوجه الذي يرضيك عنا يا رب العالمين. على الوجه الذي يرضيك عنا يا رب العالمين. على الوجه الذي يرضيك عنا يا رب العالمين. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آل محمد وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة.